The air was filled with the smell of dampness. Dozens of wooden ships of various sizes were moored on the shore of the port not far away, and many guys with sailor turbans wrapped around their heads were shouting like ants, shuttling. After a while, all the stolen goods were carried away or sold out, and the pirates who returned with their rewards swaggered into the seaport town to enjoy the happiness of drunken life and death. This is the port of Toulouse, a notorious pirate port, a good place for pirates to sell their stolen goods. Port Louis is located in the southern part of the western continent. It has several business routes that lead to all parties. Countless black-heart businessmen who are greedy for profit squat here. Whenever a ship with a black flag of a skull is moored, it will be like a fishy cat. Take away all the valuable and good things at low prices, and then sell them inland at high prices. Pirates are prohibited from looting in Port Toulouse. This is a rule set by all pirates. After all, if the merchants are looted here, they will not come back. If the merchants do not come, who will the pirates sell their stolen goods to? There was a sound of seagulls' calls not far away, and the sea breeze blew, with a salty breath, tearing the seagulls' calls, spreading far away, and passing into the ears. There were two more lying on the seashore. The voice of the guy singing, they were wearing tattered clothes, leaning on the beach, cursing a few words from time to time. It seems that they did not get any benefit from going out to sea this time, because the executioners who returned with a lot of money have already held a lot of silver coins and are now enjoying the sweetness of rum and the hotness of women in the small town of Port Louis. Someone is so bored that they lie on the beach and sing. We are pirates, fierce pirates. He holds a wine bottle in his left hand and jewelry in his right hand. We are pirates, skilled pirates, beautiful girl, come to my embrace. We are pirates, free pirates, under the banner of the skull, work hard for survival. We are pirates, there is no pirate of tomorrow, there is never an end, wandering pirate. The two bearded singers didn't notice that a boy was staring at them under a coconut tree not far from the beach. The boy was wearing clothes made of linen, holding a large coconut in his hand, and a hollow stem tube of some unknown plant was inserted into it. The boy took a deep breath and hiccuped contentedly, looking at the coast not far away. The ship swaying along with the sea, looking at the boundless sea, there is a longing look in his eyes. His name is Andy, at least for the past 10 years, he has been called by this name. Andy sniffed, picked up a few coconuts tied with wooden ropes, and walked towards the two ferocious guys. Oh, what did I see? A little guy with black hair and black eyes. A big man with a beard who was singing was obviously very vigilant. Andy was discovered by him just after walking a few steps. The big man poked his partner who was basking in the sun, and shouted loudly, "Day, look! It's a Oriental!" Day was obviously impatient, and he was in a bad mood. It stands to reason that he should be enjoying rum instead of singing while watching the sea. Day looked up at Andy and scolded, "Boy, you better stay away from here, or be careful of your ass. John, let him get away." "How rude! I'm just more interested in you and the ship." Andy shouted and threw the coconut in his hand. John caught the coconut, looked at it, and found that it was fully cooked. With a light poke of his finger, he poked a big hole in the hard coconut shell, took a sip, and smashed it. "It's boring, it's still lang. Rum is my appetite." "Boy, what are you doing here? Aren't you afraid of being caught and sold by us? Judging from your appearance, you were sold by Hizazi, right?" John looked at Andy who had come over, and his harmless appearance made him relax a little. Hizazi is a language between pirates, referring to those who sell human slaves on the sea. Although there are also people of the yellow race on the western continent, most of them are located in the north and east of the continent, and the number is very small, and most of them come from merchant ships or dry pirates. This world is dominated by oceans, with tens of thousands of small islands and 4 continents, and ships are used to travel. This also gave birth to an attractive profession in this world, that of pirates. Pirates do not specifically refer to those who loot merchant ships, because there are countless secret treasures in the ocean, and many people spontaneously go out to sea to explore treasures, but what they get will not be handed over to the Empire, which also makes the Empire frantically send all non-navy and private armed vessels that are registered merchant ships are called pirate ships. I'm from Port Louis, I wasn't sold. Andy shouted, suddenly laughing, are you the sailors of that big ship? Why don't you drink? Is it because you were punished by the captain for being lazy? John's face turned red, he felt that he was being mocked by the little guy in front of him. It turned out to be people in the pirate port. You little guy underestimated us, we were led by the great captain, but hunted in the endless sea. A grey whale. Andy was a little surprised when he heard this. He knew that not every pirate could encounter a merchant ship. Therefore, many pirates mainly go out to sea to hunt all kinds of rare fish or find treasures. Of course, if they encounter weak merchant ships, they will definitely have to vote. Grey whales, aren't they big? I heard whales are big. Andy's eyes showed surprise, and his tone was a little excited. Of course, little guy, you can never imagine how big it is. John stretched his hands to the widest, with an exaggerated look on his face. The grey whale we caught was nearly 20 meters long and nearly 30 tons. The average grey whale is only about 10 meters long, and the big guy of 20 meters is very likely to be a quasi-legendary one-star sea beast. The pirate ships that can hunt down quasi-legendary one-star sea beasts are not unknown. It's just that Andy didn't know the ship not far away. There was no flag on the ship, and the head statue with the engraved name and identity was on the other side, and Andy couldn't see it clearly. 30 tons. Andy's eyes widened. How long will it take to finish it? Hey, who told you it was for food? They couldn't lie down anymore. It seemed that chatting and bragging with this little guy who had never seen the market would be a good pastime. Maybe the rich nobles would like to eat this stinky thing, but the greedy alchemists like it the most. Those old devil-like guys, grey whale oil, bones, fish skins, even the undead can be transformed into all kinds of magical things in the hands of an alchemist. So, you sold it for a big price. Andy obviously knew what an alchemist was, so he didn't ask much. Of course, our goddess of despair is the most rewarding of all ships. Since you are from Port Louis, hey, boy, have you heard of goddess of despair? And you should know that greedy old Bryn. Of course I know that he is an alchemist from Port Louis, a very powerful figure. Andy glanced at the two big men, and then looked at the large ship that was parked not far away, and the excitement in his eyes was even stronger. The famous goddess of despair is a pirate ship that can be called a number in this stormy sea. Andy, the pirate, has set his goal on this ship, and he wants to be a part of this ship. Hey, we slaughtered him hard. That big whale was sold by our captain for a full 200 gold coins, and the old guy also promised to make a head portrait of a whale skull for us for free. And we are generous, the captain gives us brothers 3 gold coins each. 200 gold coins are only a fraction, and the most expensive thing is the statue of the boat. The things that alchemists come up with have mysterious and unpredictable abilities. 3 gold coins, that's a lot. Like the largest pirate bar in Port Louis, the cheapest and most popular rum, a big glass only needs 1 copper coin, while the most beautiful and sexiest woman in the pirate brothel in Port Louis only needs 1 silver coin. You can open her graceful legs willingly. Since you guys have gained so much, why don't you go to a bar to drink? Why don't you go and relax with a few chicks with big butts? Perhaps it was more interesting to hear the biggest chick from Andy's mouth. Day and John looked at each other and laughed. Hey, a few hours ago we were rich people with 3 gold coins, but after taking part in the gamble set up by the bosun, we became poor people with only a few copper coins. John laughed and scolded, but there was no dissatisfaction with his appearance. Pirates were like this, walking between life and death, and saw many things. They will fight for gold coins, but they will also generously admit that they have lost. If I were the bosun and I won so much, I would at least treat you to a glass of gold brandy. Andy is talking about a more expensive drink in the bar, which can be exchanged for a few large glasses of rum. Of course. John smiled. In fact, our bosun is the same way. Our brothers have gone to the seaport town to buy supplies. Day and I are just here to watch our baby. I believe it won't be long before the bosun will bring a few barrels of rum and roasted golden meat. Let us drink enough on board. Day also laughed in cooperation, which made Andy a little embarrassed. He knew what the treasure John was talking about was that tens of meters of behemoths, the goddess of despair, moored not far away. The length of the brig varies from 20 to 50 meters, and this despair is obviously the big guy among them, not even inferior to the average three-masted sailing vessel. Pirates see that there will always be black and black things, so they will keep a safe distance when berthing ships, but they will still leave some people behind and watch their livelihood. Andy knew that although there were only 2 people on the beach, I'm afraid there were several such guys on the boat. Can I join you? I yearn for an adventurous life at sea, freedom and novelty. Andy thought for a while and said tentatively. You? Little guy, tell me how old you are. Day laughed. He was as strong as a bull, and his palm as big as a fan pinched Andy's thin arm. I can't tell, it looks thin, but it's a little sturdy. I'm 16 this year, and I'm already a young man. Andy said firmly. 16 years old? It's not too young. I seem to have been on board at about this age. It's been 20 years in the blink of an eye. Seemingly thinking of something, John sighed and said to Andy, Go back, pirates don't look so majestic, you are still young, don't worry your family. Andy opened his mouth, but said nothing. Day smiled and waved his hand, Go back, the sea is nice, but she's not as gentle as you think. Seeing that the sparse pirates came out from the town entrance, some of them were pulling full supplies and dozens of barrels of rum, and the direction was this way. The boy knew that the pirates on the Goddess of Despair had returned, and the next thing to do is to spend the night in a bar or a brothel. I have to go now. The boy was a little reluctant to part, but he also knew that he had to leave, stood up, patted the sand on his buttocks, and the boy ran towards the town. Day, you say he is destined to go our way? John raised a handful of sand and said weakly. He is like us. He has the same curiosity as us, and is destined to take risks on the ocean. However, his body seems to be a little weak. Even if he becomes a pirate, he will not be able to get on our despair goddess. Day smiled and got up to meet his companions. Hey! You bastards! Give me a drink. I'm dying of hunger. Under the setting sun, the tides of the sea slapped the coast from time to time, and the busy sailors carried the supplies on board, which was the guarantee that they would float on the ocean next month. Port town. Chaotic, dirty, there seems to be no good words to describe the town at this time. After all, it has just arrived, or it is a group of rude and savage pirates who are visiting it. Boys shuttled through the crowd, occasionally dodging an empty wine bottle that flew from nowhere, listening to the pirates singing, fighting, clinking glasses and women's laughter and moaning. Of course, from time to time there were musket firings. The sound of, Hey, you bastards! Want to make a fortune? Want a lot of gold? Want to explore the ocean? Join us! A pirate shouted loudly, surrounded by a group of sailors. The boy glanced at it, and beside the pirate was a rotten wooden board that was picked up from somewhere, with the surf number written on it crookedly. An unheard-of pirate ship, far less well-known than the Goddess of Despair. The boy is not surprised. Every day, there are downsized pirate ships to recruit sailors. He walked towards the largest bar in the town. Although it is the largest bar, it is the same tattered, and the wooden boards and walls outside are full of years and damp traces left by moisture. A black skull flag hangs on the outside of the bar, which is a bar dedicated to pirates. The boy who hasn't approached smells a strong intoxication, sweet, mellow, and intoxicating. This is the unique taste of rum. Under the rum, there is also a drooling barbecue smell. You know the taste, it's baked golden, crispy, melt in your mouth delicacy. The sound of screaming and laughter came from the bar, and the low moaning and groaning were also suppressed. The wooden door was open. After all, it was the busiest time for the bar business. The boy stood at the door and felt the heat waves coming from in front of him. With a smile on his lips, he walked in. Even though the oil lamp was lit in the bar, it was still very dark. Dozens of ropes hung down from the low wooden shed, which were covered with all kinds of strange things, wine glasses, empty wine bottles, corks, shells, dry branches. These are all hung on the pirates before they leave, and they are useless, but they are just for peace of mind. Dilapidated oak barrels are scattered everywhere in the bar. Some drunk pirates are holding the barrels and laughing foolishly. There are a few strong men around the bar, showing hospitality to the proprietress of the bar, smiling for the proprietress, without hesitation. Handed over the silver coins in his pocket. Dozens of low and heavy tables were surrounded by pirates, some drinking, some gambling, arguing from time to time, and some even smashing bottles on each other's heads, causing small commotion. The pirates here are all dressed in the same way, with beards or bald heads, those with red or black sailors' headscarves, dirty faces with weather marks, tattered linen clothes, and dingy. There are many bells and copper pieces hanging from his waist, a sharp sword and a hidden flintlock gun on his waist. His hair and beard are braided, and colorful glass beads or shells are hung, but the essence of the mess still cannot be changed. Everyone was immersed in rum and women. No one cared about this little guy who just walked in, only the proprietress saw him. The proprietress is a blonde stunner, wearing revealing tight clothes. Her chest is full and bound, revealing a piece of snow white, as if about to burst. The proprietress smiled, and sent the male pirates around him with a few glasses of rum. Greeted the little boy. "Andy, what are you doing? The bar is so busy today, and you are still running out." "I'm just going out to see, Anna, you can't limit my freedom." "Oh, little Andy, I bought you from a rude and greedy pirate with a silver coin. I took you out of the sea of misery, so you have to listen to me." "That's right, poor little Andy was sold here by the sea scum." He knew his identity. His father was the great pirate king of the eastern Rakshasa Sea, and when he was on a boat to see his father, he met the Empire. A naval attack. His boat was blown up, he encountered a gang of pirates while drifting on a plank, and was sold here from the Far East. Andy only vaguely remembered these things, and even he wondered if it was his own speculation. After all, he was too young at that time, and it had been 10 years since he was sold here. Later, after inquiries, it seems that the famous Rakshasa pirate king in the east was caught by the Royal Navy of the Tenglong Empire. Maybe he was hanged, maybe he was imprisoned for life. In short, he has withdrawn from the big stage of the ocean. Andy has the blood of a pirate, and he is destined to be with the sea. 10 years ago, poor little Andy was brought ashore by a rude pirate. The sound of howling and crying attracted the attention of Anna. Anna was the eldest lady of this bar at that time. She still had some money, and she looked like the little guy. "Lovely, so I bought the child with a silver coin." "Okay, okay. I'm not back here. You don't need to always pick up that silver coin." Andy waved his hand, skillfully got a small glass of rum at the bar, and gulped it down. "1 copper coin, thank you for your patronage." Anna blinked, facing his deep white palm. "I only had a small drink, you black-hearted fellow. Deduct it from my salary." "Poor little Andy, I have to remind you of a cruel reality. You eat and live with me, so you have to work for me for free, and you don't get paid." Seeing Andy's speechless face, Anna smiled even more, pointed to her face, and leaned forward gently. Andy was helpless and gently kissed Anna's face. "Very good. Would you like a drink? My dear little Andy." Anna's fingers ran across her red lips and lightly tapped, "I want to be here this time." Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Anna likes to tease this little guy very much. In his bones, there is a subtle charm that Oriental people have. Anna likes the Andy who pestered her when she was a child, but Andy has grown up in recent years and seems to be intentionally alienating her. So the daring Anna always took some special opportunities to do something to make this little guy blush. Andy shook his head, put the wine glass down, licked his lips, making sure not to drop a drop of wine. I won't drink it anymore. Anna raised her brows, poured herself a glass of rum, shook it a few times, and took a slow sip. Well, I wish the sea not far away was made of this rum. A pirate not far away also echoed, that's really an ocean like heaven. I don't think any sailor can refuse it. Even little Andy sniffed, showing a longing look on his face. By the way, Anna, maybe I'll be leaving in a few days. Andy seemed to think of something, looked at Anna and said sadly. What? Are you leaving? Anna was still enjoying rum. She was shocked when she heard this, and looked at Andy nervously. Where are you going? I bought you with 1 silver coin. No one can take you away without my permission. Don't be like this, Anna. When I grow up, I want to go out. No, I even plan to hand this tavern to you. How can you leave? Anna looked terrified, her hand holding the rum kept shaking, and she shouted hysterically, Are you going to leave me to be that pirate? The whole tavern was quiet, except for some drunk guys who were a little sober looking at Anna with bad expressions. Hey, little girl, it seems that you are very dissatisfied with us. I don't know where a voice came from, but it was the unified idea of the drunk big men. Anna has been in this pirate port for so many years, so naturally she is not afraid of anything. She raised her brows and said in a cold voice, You damned fellows, can't rum and barbecue stop your mouths? What? Want a taste of gunpowder? Anna took out a flintlock musket from the thigh belt under the bar and slammed it heavily on the table. This is a single-barreled musket. In this era, this kind of musket is very common. Basically, pirates will be equipped with 1 or 2 to deter the enemy or give the enemy a heavy blow before the battle. A musket only has 1 bullet, and it takes a long time to reload, so if you are not a good gun player, you will only have 1 shot, but this shot is primitive but powerful. However, Anna's gun is obviously not in this range. The pirate bar has a history of hundreds of years in Port Louis, and some people even say that when the first pirate set foot on this port, the pirate bar already existed. Handed down, the pirate bar naturally has its secrets. Just like the gun in Anna's hand. No one can ignore the deterrent power emanating from the black muzzle of this musket. It seems that it can a person's soul into it. I don't know if it is dazzling. Some people can see flashes on the barrel of the musket from time to time. Black light. This is a magic weapon. This world has never been as boring as it appears. In the vast sea, there are all kinds of legendary sea beasts hidden. They have huge bodies, powerful powers, and what's more, they can manipulate the ocean. And among human beings, there are a group of mysterious and powerful guys who can borrow the power of the elements. The power of wind can make the sailboats they make have incredible speed, the power of fire can make the guns they make more lethal, and the sailor's scimitar made by these people. However, the most frightening thing is not these guys with magic, but the cold and vicious wizards, who are associated with diseases and curses, undead and corpses, have mysterious powers that can be predicted by divination, and have all kinds of incredible methods. Anna's musket has a resounding name, Xingyun. It is said that the guy who made it tried to shoot down a star with it. Obviously he failed, but it is undeniable that this is a powerful weapon, a weapon that can threaten all pirates. Just when Anna took out Xingyun, the turbulent pirates seemed to wake up a little. A man with curly hair gently kicked the person in front of him, and scolded with a smile, You wild bears, don't scare our beautiful lady. Ha ha ha, little girl, it's just a joke, there's no need to take out such a guy. Brothers. Drink. The pirates are busy again, the waiters in the bar are busy again. Their job is very simple: take the copper coins handed by the pirates, refill them with rum, and throw silver coins if there are rich guys. Okay, they will bring you an oak barrel full of rose wine. Anna, you're too careless. You know that many people are playing with it. Andy glanced around for a week, and found that several guys glanced at Xingyun on the bar from time to time without a trace, with greedy expressions in their eyes. There were a lot of people fighting for it before, but now they're all dead. Anna said indifferently, but she still put Xingyun back. The cold gun body was against her thigh, which would make her feel its existence at any time. Anna, I must go. When I came back, I saw that there were pirate ships recruiting sailors, and most importantly, the Goddess of Despair was also parked in the port. The pirate port welcomes new guests every day. Some are pirates and merchants who have landed on the shore, and some are sailors looking for a living. Many pirate ships experience attrition. After all, it is a business of licking blood, and death is a common thing. Therefore, pirates will recruit sailors who are satisfied with them to board the ship and become their partners. There are also many sailors with dreams of making a fortune or taking an adventure and joining a ship he likes. Andy, what kind of pirate ship will recruit sailors? Weak, dead. I won't allow you to join. Anna shook her head and laughed again. Also, it seems that your strength will not let the famous pirate ship like the Goddess of Despair see you. Anna played with the wine glass in her hand, and said with confidence, your swordsmanship and your marksmanship don't seem to be outstanding, and do you know anything about sailing? At least my water is good. I grew up in the sea. Andy has been in Port Louis for 10 years, and his water is better than any fish in the sea. But Andy's sword skills are actually not bad. For 10 years, he has been practicing some time on the beach with branches every day. Pirates don't care about that. What they want is strength, like me. Anna tilted her head and said with some pride, her marksmanship is very good, she is a qualified musketeer, and her swordsmanship is not bad. Then go with me. I know, you are also curious about the mysterious sea, aren't you? Andy said in a seductive tone, think about it, let your footprints spread all over the world's seas, leave your own legends there, collect all the legendary sea beasts, and become a generation of pirate queens. Anna, what do you think? Live. Even if I go to be a pirate, you can't go. My bar still needs someone to manage it. Of course Anna yearns for such a life. After all, her idol is the pirate queen of the Crystal Sea, the captain of the Sword and the Rose, Daphne King. A woman who terrifies the ocean. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com. A woman in charge of an entire sea. Oh, if the pirate queen of the Qing lady in the east is not too old, she can be regarded as an idol of Anna. Andy was silent. He knew that this bar was the lifeblood of Anna, and Anna could only rest assured that she or Andy would take care of it. The pirate bar was left by Anna's ancestors, and her ancestors were also big pirates. It is unknown whether it is the pirate king, but Andy knew that he came to this port with a treasure that was enough to make the king jealous. Built this bar. Of course, these treasures are not just gold coins. In fact, there are only a small number of gold coins. Anna's starfall is one of his treasures. Anyway, I've made up my mind. No. Your strength is too weak. You can't let me look at the sea level every day, but finally got the news that you died in the sea. Anna shook her head vigorously. No matter what, she would not agree. She bought Andy, it was hers, and she had to be with her all the time. Anna, don't you think it's strange? Why am I being so tough this time? Andy smiled and asked softly. Why? Anna also wanted to know that although Andy always wanted to be a pirate before, he didn't seem to express his thoughts so strongly. I understand the piece of cloth that old Toby left behind. Old Toby, a poor old pirate, was blinded because of robbing treasures. The kind Anna took care of him until Toby was dying 5 years ago and handed Anna a rag. On the rags, there is a mystery. Anna's eyes widened, she covered her mouth to prevent herself from making a sound, and looked at Andy in shock. Andy and Anna looked at each other, and a black light suddenly flashed in his eyes, causing Anna to shiver involuntarily. You really learned witchcraft? SHH. Andy blinked and nodded slightly. Witchcraft, also known as black magic, is an evil but powerful force. People with witchcraft can create diseases, curses, zombies, and can control other people's bodies and even their minds. The famous Devil Sea pirate king Blackbeard Edward Titch is a great wizard. His subordinates have countless zombies and undead who are not afraid of death to work for him. In the seas of the whole world, no ship dares to ignore the Queen Anne of Vengeance. Existence, that is an evil king that makes pirates even fear the wind. Anna recovered from the shock, her face was a little pale. How can you learn such an evil thing? Anna is still measured, her voice is so low that no one will pay attention in a noisy bar. It's just a mysterious undead power. You misunderstood it. It's not evil, but the person who used it before was evil. It's not evil to desecrate corpses and turn them into zombies? Andy, I don't allow. Andy interrupted her. Anna, you worry too much. You know me. Even if I learn it, I won't become that kind of evil wizard. I'm very kind, isn't it? Andy smiled, and the information on that roll of cloth is too esoteric. I just learned divination and some simple curses. What kind of curse? It's just some simple curses that make your limbs sore, weak, headaches and dazzling eyes. In order to reassure Anna, Andy had to lie. Oh, the great of the ocean, forgive Andy, Andy didn't mean to deceive. Andy prayed silently in his heart. Anna breathed a sigh of relief when she heard this. She was really afraid that Andy would become the kind of disgusting guy who hides in a black robe and plays with corpses and diseases. Then I won't allow you to get on the boat either. Why? Andy was taken aback and stared at Anna. It's just such a curse, it can't protect you at all. Oh, well, there are others, I can corrode what I touch, so don't be afraid, no one can hurt me. Andy had no choice but to reveal a little more of his own secret. That doesn't work either. They have muskets. If you are unfortunately hit, you still. No matter what, Anna would not agree. She was worried. After 10 years of company, she could not do without this little guy. Anna, I have pirate blood in my body, you know, I'm destined to drift on the ocean for adventure. Anna knew that Andy was the son of a pirate, but she didn't know that Andy's father was the pirate king. Andy has a ring left to him by his father. When he was attacked by the navy, Andy's mother shoved the ring into his mouth. His mother, who was separated from him in that disaster, does not know where he is now. Where, perhaps already dead on the endless sea. The ring, after little Andy was rescued by Anna and had a big meal, was successfully returned to his hand. It was a ring engraved with a skull. Only pirates would have such a thing. Of course, that ring was taken as a trophy by Anna, and Andy sometimes thought maliciously, if Anna knew that the ring was, how did it come out, and whether it will still be played in the hands. Anna was a little lacking in interest. She stood up weakly and walked out from the back door of the bar. Andy called a waiter and asked him to watch the bar. He believed that no one would be bold enough to make trouble here. The backyard of the bar is a house with a small garden. There are several small rooms. This is where Andy and Anna rest. The light in the room is lit with butter, which makes Andy feel at ease for a while. Are you really going? Anna waited for Andy, who followed up, with a serious tone. When I cracked the secret on the cloth, I knew the time had come. Okay, I'll accompany you. Anna breathed a sigh of relief. I've saved countless gold coins for so many years, I think I should be able to buy a 3-masted sailboat. Well, at least I can buy a pair of double-masted sailboats. Sailboat. Anna said cheerfully, you reading www.yuyuganshu.com. When the time comes, we will gather a group of sailors and go out to vote together, and my name, Queen Anna, will be famous in the Sea of Storms. Well, we need to name our ship, Storm Queen? Storm Anna? Or Starfall Queen? Or Storm Dina? Andy covered his forehead and looked at Anna, who seemed a little crazy. Anna, don't be so unrealistic. Anna was muttering her name. She was startled when she heard the words. She seemed a little lost. We don't have any sailing experience, how can we be captains? Andy said softly, in this way, I will be a sailor first, and when I am familiar with this sea area, and when you have enough money to buy a 3-masted sailboat, the two of us will become pirates together, how about that? When I save enough money for a 3-masted sailing ship, we'll be pirates together. Anna's eyes lit up, and she looked at Andy with an indescribable surprise. Well, I think at that time, I was already capable of being a pirate captain. Money for the bark. Well, we're done. Anna nodded. He knew that Andy was determined to go to sea, so he didn't plan to stop him. Anna wiped the corners of her eyes and wanted to go out. What are you going to do? I'm going to increase the price of rum. You damned fellows, from now on, rum costs 2 copper coins. Anna ran out quickly, and the following words were already said to the pirates in the bar. Andy smiled, he knew those pirates wouldn't buy it. Sure enough, after a noisy bottle of wine shattered, Anna's exasperated voice sounded, You bastards! 1 copper coin is 1 copper coin, but do you dare to drink a few more glasses? Hearing the noise coming from the bar outside, Andy felt a burst of peace in his heart. He walked back to his room, threw himself on the bed, and let it go. The bed was made of linen. In such a damp place, only linen can last longer. Andy looked at the rotten wood above his head, and the scene of him drifting on a sailboat in the ocean already appeared in his mind. We are pirates, fierce pirates. He holds a wine bottle in his left hand and jewelry in his right hand. We are pirates, skilled pirates, beautiful girl, come to my embrace. Andy hummed softly, this is a kind of joy from the heart, the vast and mysterious ocean, tomorrow, Andy will conquer it. Go on an adventure. Andy is not interested in jewelry. He has a special liking for all kinds of myths and legends circulating in the ocean, and is very interested in the legendary sea beasts in the ocean. Andy had a wish at a very young age, which was born under the influence of his father. Yes, good man, let your footprints spread across the ocean. He has always believed that the ocean symbolizes freedom. He is eager to take risks in rough seas, and to sing wildly in violent storms. Of course, if the sea and sky are clear and the wind is sunny, drinking a glass of rum on the deck of the sailboat is also a good experience. Thinking like this, Andy fell asleep. This feeling is extraordinarily sweet. Andy was woken up by the pirates, almost every day. When the pirate bar never stops, pirates come and go, and Port Louis is always so lively. Breakfast is a piece of bread, a piece of bacon, and an apple. Andy had a quick breakfast, and a good day started. Hey, Anna, I'm leaving. Andy found her at the bar of the bar, and Anna was in a daze. Andy? Can you leave in a few days? Stay a few more days. Somehow, this bold and enthusiastic blonde girl was at a loss for words. She didn't seem to know what to say. The thousands of words she had planned to say became heavy when she thought that the guy in front of her was about to leave. Andy hugged Anna gently. Anna, we agreed, didn't we? You know, Goddess of Despair finally came to Port Louis. I couldn't pass up this opportunity, its mooring time is very short. Anna sighed, hugged Andy tightly, and pressed his head into her arms. Well, Anna, I'm going to suffocate. You guy, he he he. Anna broke into a smile, her face was a little rosy, then she turned her head domineeringly and looked at the various pirates in the bar. What are you looking at? You rascals! If you want to drink milk, go home and find your mother. The pirates burst into laughter. Some of them do covet this beautiful proprietress. Anna is beautiful, but she is a rose with thorns, and she can operate the largest pirate bar in Port Louis, which itself has explained a lot of problems. Although Anna's ancestors are no longer pirates, but Yu Wei is here, even a vicious pirate has to weigh it up, this rose can't be picked. Andy knew this and left with confidence. Anna couldn't bear him, why would he bear Anna? After all, after living together for 10 years, they have already had a very deep relationship. Andy let go of Anna, adjusted his sackcloth clothes, and took 2 steps back. I'm leaving. Hey! Then, if you're not ready, you dare to be a pirate. Andy took the things that Anna threw from the bar, and his heart warmed. A jet black musket with skull marks engraved on the flintlock machine. Although it is not a magic musket, it is much stronger than ordinary muskets. A sailor's machete and a dagger, shining coldly in the light, are extremely sharp. A clean ochre scarf with black spots. There is also a triangular pirate hat, which seems to be made of the hide of some kind of sea beast. Anna thoughtfully tied the headscarf to Andy and put the pirate hat on his head. Handsome! Anna sighed in admiration, and the unique charm of Andy Oriental is something these big pirates don't have. Oh, and this one. Anna seemed to have thought of something, and took out a necklace from the snow-white gully. On the necklace was Andy's skull ring. The ring that ventured around in his body for a week. Anna took off the ring, put it on Andy's ring finger, bit her lip, and put down her hand. Go, Andy, do what you like. Andy gently stroked the ring on his hand, showing his white teeth, waved his hand, and walked out of the bar. He had to get used to the parting, because he knew that, as a pirate, he might go through such things a lot. Port Louis is as chaotic, dirty, and noisy as ever. Andy is very familiar with it. He knows his destination. The pirates recruit sailors in the bar, because there are only drunk sailors and rum. The place where sailors were recruited was on a street in Port Louis, not far from where the pirates bought supplies. This is completely different from the liveliness of the bar. The pirates in the bar are presumptuous and have fun, and the sailors here are nervous and uneasy. Andy saw at a glance the place where the goddess of despair received its sailors. There was a bright red flag flying there. On the flag was a woman with a painful face, the goddess of despair. The broken wooden table was surrounded by many more sailors than the rest. After all, it was the goddess of despair, whose captain was Zack, the son of despair, who was famously famous. Sitting at the wooden table was a tall, burly pirate with a somewhat vicious face, with a bushy beard, looking like a Viking, his bare arms and chest covered with tattoos, and several intersecting scars. Through the conversations of these people, Andy knew that it was the first mate of the goddess of despair, named Roger. And beside him was a melancholy artist-like pirate with blonde wavy long hair, their sailor Endler. As for the others, they are the sailor pirates on the goddess of despair, and a few sailors who have just successfully obtained the qualification to board the ship. Not only tall and strong people can become pirates, at least that's not the case on the goddess of despair. Andy observed for a while and found that as long as he has a skill and is useful for sailing, he can basically be qualified. Of course, this skill needs to be very long, otherwise, it is not qualified to be a sailor of the great goddess of despair. Among the people who have succeeded, there is a thin guy. Andy thinks that he can even knock him down with one punch, but that guy has eagle eyes and can see things thousands of meters away. Back up, look out! There is also an old guy with white hair, a 20-year-old pirate, who has been playing with artillery on the ship, and is an excellent artilleryman. The rest are mostly strong swordsmen and fighters, and their sailing surprises are also very rich. The team of dozens of people soon ended, and only 4 or 5 qualified. Of course, those sailors who were not selected were just a little disappointed. They knew that other lesser-known pirate ships would be happy to join them. It seems that this is the only harvest today. Those guys who have failed the good time of the morning and are still paralyzed by alcohol, let them go to the devil. Roger murmured, stood up, and prepared to leave. Wait a minute, there's me too. Andy stepped aside and stood in front of Roger. "Oh, little guy, your outfit is pretty good. Do you know what we're recruiting? If you want to work, you should go to the bakery over there. Maybe you can process potato powder." Roger laughed and patted Andy on the shoulder. "Sir, I know what I want to do. I want to be a member of the Goddess of Despair." Roger glanced at Andy in surprise, saw the determination in his eyes, and raised his eyebrows. "It's interesting. Okay, so this sailor, what's your name?" "Andy." "Andy Nye, sir." "Nye." Roger looked at Andy's black hair and black pupils and nodded. "This is Dongfang's surname." "Then, Mr. Andy, what ability do you have to be a sailor for the Goddess of Despair? Are you a musketeer or a swordsman? Or an unarmed fighter?" Roger looked at the thin Andy. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com showed a questioning look. "Neither, sir." "Then you have the eyes of an eagle or the strength of a bear?" "Neither, sir." "Can you pull the sails on the boat?" Roger paused and asked amusingly. "I can try, sir." Andy thought for a while, then added, "if you allow it." "Okay, Mr. Andy, your test failed. Maybe you can go to other pirates and ask them to see if they are in need of boat cleaners, so you can earn a few copper coins." Roger waved his hand. He was going to leave. "Sir, I can perceive danger, or in other words, predict danger." Roger stopped, turned to look at Andy. A dangerous aura flashed in his eyes. "Dear Mr. Andy, you must be sure of what you say, and you must know that the price of deceiving me is very high. That's the truth. I'm born with the ability to predict danger." Roger looked at Andy, and Andy looked at him. The two looked at each other for a few seconds. Roger couldn't see any unease or hesitation in Andy's eyes, only confidence. "So good, Mr. Andy, are you sure to entrust your life and glory to the ocean? Are you sure to obey the command of the great son of despair, Zack, and be faithful even in the face of danger and death?" "I'm pretty sure, sir." "Very well, Mr. Andy, the Goddess of Despair welcomes you to join us." Roger smiled and stretched out his hand. Andy laughed too, and his palm hit Roger's palm hard. "My pleasure, sir." The Goddess of Despair is moored not far from the port. Generally speaking, if it is not a port, these large sailboats are anchored in the ocean dozens of meters away from the coast, and rely on small boats to land. In Port Louis, obviously, there is no need to worry. The shallow dock on the beach is completely dug up by manpower, enough for any large sailboat to dock, and the towering cliffs and stone walls on both sides can block any strong winds. Under the leadership of Roger and Andy and others set foot on the famous Goddess of Despair. When Andy left the land and stepped on the deck, he somehow felt a sense of peace of mind. It was a solid feeling, as if he had been floating on the sea for the past 10 years, until he finally set foot on the land just now. He was a natural sailor. "Hey, you guys, come meet our new partner. I'll go find the captain first." Roger shouted and called a few sailors, then he glanced at Andler. The artist-like melancholy sailor instantly understood the first mate's thoughts, nodded lightly, and stood in the safe. Behind D. Roger smiled contentedly, patted Andy lightly, and walked to the captain's room not far away. The pirates on the ship are not friendly guys. Maybe they will bully the newcomers. Roger's intention is obvious: let Andler take care of little Andy. After all, this is a baby. Roger hurriedly went to find the captain, also because of Andy. Of course, when the new crew boarded the ship, he had to see the glory of the great son of despair. Roger walked to the captain's cabin, and all the pirates on the deck surrounded him. Andy looked around and didn't see Day and John. Maybe they were in the cabin. "Hey, let me see these newcomers." "Oh, I really doubt that the old man will die on the boat, he doesn't look good." A tall, strong bald black man laughed, his teeth gleaming, and his words caused laughter from the pirates. The 20-year-old sailor knew the temper of pirates. These people just wanted to have some fun, so he was not angry. He believed that in battle, his precise cannonballs would make those who underestimate him shut up. "Baby, your mouth still stinks." Andler laughed and scolded. They were all life-threatening friendships, and he knew that this fierce-looking black man had no ill intentions. "Oh, Lord Sailor! Is that your son? It looks like your wife wasn't idle when you went to sea." But obviously he miscalculated the color of the child's father. Bobby pointed at Andy, pretending to be surprised. "Ha ha ha, Bobby! You will be thrown into the sea by Lord Sailor." Andler grinned, with a fierce light in his eyes. "Baby, you know I don't have a wife. I have to say, your stinky mouth should be washed with sea water." When Bobby heard the words, he showed his white teeth. "You know, I was kicked out by the tribe because of this mouth." "Ha ha ha." The pirates laughed, and Andy also found it very interesting. There will always be people who think that pirates are a group of vicious and murderous guys, but they actually have their own cuteness. At least Andy thinks that this black big man is exposed. The smirk with white teeth was funny. Of course, except for Andy, no one thought Bobby's stinky mouth was cute. "But Master Sailor, is this little guy from the east also our partner? Are you sure he's not a handyman hired by the first mate to clean the deck?" As a pirate with a wide range of knowledge, although he was a little surprised by the presence of Orientals here, he was not surprised. "You ignorant fellows, maybe in the near future, we will all rely on him." Andler laughed and looked at Andy. "Of course, the premise is that Mr. Andy didn't deceive us. Pirates are indeed a dangerous industry. If a pirate goes out to sea carelessly, the entire army may even be wiped out, and this possibility is not low. Encountering more powerful pirates, or encountering a powerful navy, as well as mysterious giant beasts in the ocean and the famous frequent storms of storm-wind sea, if you are not careful, your ship will sink into the sea. If it is true as Andy said, then he can at least sense the coming of the storm in advance. This ability, in the eyes of the pirates of the storm sea, is simply a gift from the of the sea." Soon, the noisy discussions of the pirates were drowned out, and they even took the initiative to quiet down. Tatter! It was the crisp sound of riding boots stepping on the deck, which made people involuntarily look over there. The door of the captain's room was opened, and a man in a leather coat and a noble feather hat walked out, with a pair of polished riding boots on his feet, and walked to the middle of the deck. Roger followed behind the man. This beast-like strong man was as well behaved as a child at this time. "Hey, let me see, our new friends." The man smiled. His teeth were full of black dirt, which made people a little disgusted, but this also proved that in the year he was a pirate, there was very little fresh water in the ocean, so the pirates did not pay attention to their own hygiene, like Bobby. "White teeth are really rare. I'm your great captain, the famous son of despair, Zack." Zack showed an evil smile, and his eagle-like eyes glanced at everyone present. The blue eyes paused for a long time on Andy's face, and his other eye had a black leather blindfold, which was even more added. "His wickedness. Under your feet is the goddess of despair, the terrifying goddess of the Sea of Storms. You are honored to be part of the legend of the Sea of Storms. Although the goddess of despair is not the ship of the Pirate King, it is indeed a well-known existence in the Storm Sea. Except for the three-masted sailboat Evil Dragon, the Butcher Pixar of the Pirate King of the Storm Sea, there are only a few ships in the entire Storm Sea that can only be compared with it. The goddess of despair was only more than 2 months away from the last time it went to sea. It may be that it is too notorious. There are not many merchant ships who dare to pass through the several channels where the goddess of despair always appears, so Zack took his sailors with him. To the endless sea. There are sea beasts in the endless sea, and goddess of despair met a grey whale not long after entering. It was a quasi-legendary one-star sea beast. Goddess of Despair finally captured it at the cost of the lives of 4 or 5 good sailors. In order to keep the grey whale fresh so that he can make a better shot, Zack hurried to Port Tolui, and even met a merchant ship on the way and did not go to loot. The gold coins sold are only incidental, and the head of the real whale skull is really valuable. Without this free head portrait, alchemist Old Bryn couldn't buy that grey whale even with 1,000 gold coins. Of course, little Andy didn't know this. He only knew that this was the famous goddess of despair, who could better lead him on adventures, so he came. The new sailors were assigned to their respective posts after seeing the captain. The skinny monkeys were assigned to the observation deck, and they were familiar with the watchman of the goddess of despair. The old sailor's name was Mutter, and he hurriedly got out of the cabin to get acquainted with the 30 powerful artillery pieces on the goddess of despair. As for the other sailors, they were placed on deck, and their job was to raise the sails, tie the lines, and press the boat. Fire your guns in battle, and compose a sonata of blood and fire with your sharp blade when you catch the boat. Andy, because of his peculiarity, he was arranged in a small room next to the captain's room. It is said that there used to be a place to store wine for Captain Zack, but now it is vacated for Andy. Zack didn't want Andy to live in a dirty and noisy cabin like the sailors, lying on fishing nets or rags on a hammock, which would affect his hunch. Andy needs to be quiet. Everything was in order. Andy was sitting in his small room. He was very at ease. As long as he closed his eyes, he could feel the slight shaking caused by the waves hitting the boat. It feels so good. Andy smiled. From today, he is a pirate. Of course, Andy didn't have so many things in his mind. He just stayed in a port town for 10 years, and now his mind is full of freedom. Dong, dong, dong. There was a knock on Andy's door. He got out of bed, opened the door, and saw Roger's dangerous face. Andy, the captain wants to see you. Oh, okay, let's go. Andy's house is next to the captain's room, and his small door is only 2 steps away from the main door of the captain's room. Master Captain, here he is. Well, come in. Zock's indifferent voice came out, and Andy couldn't help shivering. There is a mysterious power in Zack, which is cold and terrifying, and the keen Andy can perceive it. The captain's room is indeed the cleanest and most luxurious place on a ship. In the middle is a row of long tables, candles are lit on silver lampstands, and a crystal chandelier is on the head. The walls are surrounded by fresh orchids, and there is an oil painting hanging on the wall. It's Captain Zack with a sword. Zack was sitting on a bench in the corner at this time, and in front of him was a messy table with a colorful nautical chart painted on it, and some other things. Andy walked over with Roger and said hello, Master Captain. Zack grinned, stood up, and said in a low voice, I heard you know divination. Sir, it's a prediction, it's just a natural sense of danger. Of course Andy can't be called divination, divination is black magic, and he doesn't want people to know that he has such power. Do you need to borrow external force to predict? No, this is a very mysterious feeling, and you don't need to borrow anything. Of course, if you want to be more accurate, I think there is something that can help me. What do you need? Zack asked with interest. If nothing else, my task should be to predict storms, right? Captain. Zack nodded, yes, there are too many storms in the stormy sea. Although seagulls can help us determine the weather, it is a pity that the footprints of seagulls do not spread over the entire stormy sea. If you look at the changes in clouds and water vapor, that seems a little late. Although the goddess of despair will survive every time it encounters a storm, some sailors will always be knocked off the deck by the strong wind and rain and disappear into the boundless ocean. And the huge waves from the storm will wet the deck, pour into the cabin, and wet the food and gunpowder. If it's a storm, I need a few pieces of turtle shells that were born under the moonlight in the middle of the night, and some black seagull feathers. Andy thought about it and said, he must use these things, because in fact he can't predict, only divination. It sounds mysterious, and it's similar to what those greedy alchemists need, like the legendary black magic. Zack stared at Andy and said casually. In fact, These things with mysterious power can make my predictions more accurate, maybe because of this mysterious power. That's true. Zack nodded and looked at Roger. I think old Bubby should have these things. When you go to pick up the head statue tomorrow, remember to buy some back. Master Captain, your will be executed. Roger nodded and said respectfully. Okay, if what you say is true, then you will become the second only existence on the Goddess of Despair after me and my first mate, but if it is false, I think you will become food for sharks. As you think, sir. Seeing Andy's confident look, Zack nodded happily. The storm has always plagued the pirates in this sea area. Now that his problem is solved, the Goddess of Despair's strength will also develop rapidly. Zack looked at Andy, and his eyes lit up when he saw his outfit. Andy, your sword and gun are very good. Well, my sister prepared it for me. Andy thought of Anna and smiled. I'm very curious. It seems that you are not short of money, so why do you want to be a pirate? Are young people restless and want to pursue excitement? Stimulate. Andy's eyes were dazed for a while, he nodded and shook his head again. So great Captain, why do you want to be a pirate? Me. Zack showed a look of reminiscence. I was for a lot of gold coins at first, and now, it is to conquer this ocean. Wealth, power, and ambition. Roger said in a deep voice, in fact, at first I was for exploration, but now I am also for these. Wealth, power, ambition. Andy repeated, as if he understood something. Looking at Andy's confused look, Zack chuckled. Maybe our Andy doesn't even know why he wants to be a pirate. Zack took Andy out of the captain's room, went up to the poop, stood beside the rudder, and shouted loudly. You bastards! Tell me why you want to be a pirate. Hey, head, I think it's endless gold coins and shiny jewels. And endless rum, beautiful women whose skin is as smooth as milk. Of course, there are also indulgent pleasures. Only us pirates can do it. Listening to the words of the pirates on the deck, Zack looked at Andy with a smile. Look, this is what we want. That's not what I want. Andy shook his head, his tone was very solemn. Then what do you want? Zack stood next to Andy, and his shady appearance seemed much warmer in the sun. What I want is to have a boat of my own. I lie on the deck, blowing the sea breeze, without thinking about anything, and let the boat float with the waves. Zack's eyes changed a little, and he asked, what is that? I think, that's freedom. Zack's smile subsided. You reading www.uuganshu.com looked at Andy and said two words in his mouth, freedom. He slowly walked down the stairs and returned to the captain's room. The pirates on the deck looked at Andy and laughed loudly. Roger patted Andy on the shoulder and sighed suddenly, Andy, you will know later that true freedom is harder than power. Get. And the general freedom, in fact, you are already in it. The seagulls flew around the mast constantly, and the artist-like sailor Endler leaned on the fence of the deck, playing the bagpipes softly, which mixed with the chirping of the seagulls into a wonderful movement. The pirates started their work again. Tomorrow, when the portraits are delivered, they will set sail. Now they need to tie the sails and polish the deck. The rude pirates have no feelings for Andy's words. They laugh at Andy. Because when you become a pirate, you are already free. You can wander and explore on the ocean, enjoy free will, do not need to pay taxes, do not need to work in the manor, and do not need to listen to the reprimands of nobles. Isn't this freedom? Andy shook his head. He was going back to his small house. Just as he walked down the stairs, Roger above threw him something. Andy caught it. It was a delicate leather jug. Kindness. Andy was puzzled and looked at Roger in confusion. Drink, because you're in freedom, though you don't know it, Andy. Freedom. Andy seemed to understand. 1 cup to freedom, 1 cup to death. Roger's eyes drifted into the distance along the waves of the sea. The mellow rum entered the abdomen down the throat, leaving a slightly drunk aroma between the lips and teeth. Andy's mood suddenly improved, and the sea breeze brought a fishy and salty smell. This is the taste of freedom. The prow is the most beautiful object on a ship. It is the symbol of a ship. They are generally carved into totems or statues of gods. If the materials used to make the prow are special, then the prow will also have some mysterious power. The head of the goddess of despair is the sculpture of the goddess of despair. She is the soul of the ship. In the legend of the sea, the goddess of despair was originally a witch who lived by the sea. She was kind and brave and helped heal the wounded sailors in the past. It was only one day that the witch was raped by some of the sailors she treated, who played with her, sealed her magic with a holy silver cross, and put her in a battered rum barrel filled with cannonballs, discarded in the sea. Under the heavy pressure of the sea, she couldn't breathe, but under the protection of black magic, she couldn't die. In this way, she stayed in the dark and icy sea for hundreds of years. Lonely, cold, desperate. Hundreds of years later, under the erosion of sea water, the silver cross was corroded by sea water and lost its luster, becoming jet black, and could no longer imprison the witch. She is reborn. She escaped from the dark seabed. Her black magic became extremely powerful after hundreds of years, and even gave birth to a pair of jet black feathered wings behind her. She manipulated the sea water and destroyed several island countries. People sacrificed cattle and sheep for her and prayed devoutly for 3 days and 3 nights, which calmed her anger. She became a goddess who escaped from despair and brought despair to the world. Early the next morning, Andy was fortunate to see the statue of the boat. The sailors gently unloaded the statue. They were a little reluctant to let go of this partner who had been with them for several years. Although it is washed by seawater every day, there is no trace of seawater erosion on the entire head statue. The sculpture is a contradictory color, bright gray and white. This goddess of despair has a pair of black angel wings, but they are not unfolded, but are tucked into the back with the curled body. She has no inch on her body, and her body is impeccable, but no one dares to look at him with lustful eyes. Because she is a god. Just a goddess of despair with a perfect figure. Her face is really scary, with twisted facial features, blood and tears from the corners of her eyes. Everything is so real. On her neck is a jet black cross. All the crew knelt down on the deck reverently. The great son of despair, Zack, walked heavily to the statue of the bow and leaned over to kiss the toe of the statue. This was his way of showing his respect. Then, the crew covered the head statue made of fishbone stones in the depths of the ocean with black cloth and lifted it to the bottom of the cabin. When they sailed to an island, they would place the head statue on the there. As for why this head portrait was removed, it was very simple. Old Bryn came with a new one. Old Bryn is an alchemist in Port Louis. The reason he lives here is very simple. There will always be some pirates who get some strange things in the ocean that interest him. Just like this time, the goddess of despair hunted down a quasi-legendary one-star sea beast. The sea beasts in the ocean are mysterious, powerful, and diverse. According to the power they possess, they are divided into quasi-legendary and legendary. Quasi-legendary 1 star to 9 stars, the higher the star rating, the more powerful the sea beast, and then there are legendary sea beasts regardless of star rating, because each of them is a legend. As for the most powerful legendary sea beast, there is such a legend in the ocean. It is said that there used to be 5 continents in this world, until one day, the largest continent woke up, moved its body and disappeared into the endless ocean. This is the most powerful legendary sea beast. Of course, no one believes such absurd remarks. In fact, it seems that no one has seen any so-called legendary sea beast. The price of a complete quasi-legendary 1-star sea beast should be around 1,000 gold coins. Of course, it belongs to the priceless market. Alchemists are all greedy and rich guys. Once such a thing appears, they will not hesitate. Scramble. For that grey whale, Old Bryn only paid 200 gold coins, on the condition that he would use the whale skull to make a new head statue for the goddess of despair, but in general, he still earned dozens of gold coins. The new head statue was also covered with black cloth. It was carried by a few strong bull-like pirates headed by Roger, and slowly got on the boat. Old Bryn followed behind them. "Do something." In front of the nearly 3-meter-high boat head statue, Zack looked like a child. With a pious and fiery expression on his face, he slowly took off the black cloth, and a brand new boat head statue appeared in front of everyone. Of course Andy was also in the crowd, and he also wanted to see what was different about the head statue made from the skull of a whale. "Well, there doesn't seem to be any difference, no." Sharp-eyed Andy found that there were no blood and tears on the face of this goddess of despair, although the facial features were the same. Moreover, the whale skull was supposed to be pale white, but this sculpture is the same as before, except for the pure black wings. The whole body has a strange grey-white texture, like the dead bones of the dead that have been silent for 100 years. Zack looked back at the old Bryn. The old Bryn nodded. The whole person became serious and solemn. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com walked gently in front of the sculpture and said softly in a tone that was almost like a lover. "Manasa, the goddess of despair, I release you in the name of the ocean." Old Bryn solemnly took out a dark ink-colored ball, and dripped a portion of the liquid on the sculpture, and the other part was dripped onto the ball. "Show your divine power, Manasa, goddess of despair. Bring your despair and unease to the entire sea." As old Bryn's words fell, a black light flashed on the statue of the boat. Andy took a deep breath, only to see blood and tears flowing from the corners of the statue's eyes, and then condensed on his face. Old Bryn handed the crystal ball to Zack and said softly, "It can be used 3 times. After 3 times, it needs to be sacrificed with the blood of 10 people who believe in the Silver Cross." Zack nodded, indicating that he understood. Old Bryn waved his hand and walked off the deck alone. "Hey, idiots, let's put our baby in place. If it's scratched, you can go and talk to the shark." Zack shouted, and immediately several sailors acted to fix the bow of the ship perfectly at the bow. "Our baby is perfect again." Zack fiddled with the crystal ball in his hand and laughed. "Check the supplies. Cow and sheep fruit flour and our rum." "No problem, head. Where's the artillery and ammunition, gentlemen?" "Quietly in the gunpowder magazine, there's plenty." Zack walked up to the poop, holding the rudder in one hand, took a deep breath, and with the other hand took out the sword at his waist and pointed forward. "Then, gentlemen." Zack looked at it and roared, "Lift and sail! Go and conquer our little cutie!" The black jib was pulled to the top of the mast by strong sailors, and the thick cables were tied to various places on the ship. There was a beauty with regularity in the chaos. Several sailors pulled the heavy iron anchor up from the bottom of the sea and ran to the front to start pressing the boat. Zack looked at the wind direction, turned the rudder, the position of the mast was adjusted, the sea breeze stirred the canvas, and with an irresistible force, the goddess of despair began to leave Port Tulwis and move forward slowly. The Despair had drains on the sides of the cabin, but the sailors were obviously not going to be paddling at this time, so most of them were standing on the deck to add weight to the bow to make it faster some. Andy was also standing on the bow, blowing the sea breeze and listening to the voice in his ear. His heart was relaxed and calm. "Hey, it's really you." A familiar voice came from his ears. Andy turned his head to look and found that it was John and Day. John and Day are both gunners. The goddess of despair has 30 artillery pieces. This number is not much, but it is definitely not a lot. If the shells are accurate, a round of bombardment of 30 shells can make one smaller. The brig sank directly into the abyss of the sea. When Andy got on the boat yesterday, John and Day were snoring in the cabin with rum in their hands. Because they stayed on the boat, Zack deliberately allowed them to have a good rum drink. "John, Day, I didn't see you yesterday, I thought you went to the bar." Seeing the two of them, Andy said with a smile. "Hey, I've lost all my gold coins, so there's no money left to go out. We drank too much in the cabin yesterday, and we didn't see the new brother on board. Last night, I heard that a little guy from the east came. It's you. John looked at Andy and scratched his head. I really don't know how you got up here, but Captain Zack agreed. Day smiled. He really liked Andy, but he always felt that Andy was too thin. Maybe this was not a good thing on the Goddess of Despair. After all, their enemies were equally vicious. My ability is quite special, don't worry, Captain Zack will not let me in danger. My name is Andy, don't call me little guy. Andy turned his head and looked at the boundless sea. The hull of the Goddess of Despair stirred up a white wave, and the water mist rose on his face under the blowing sea breeze, which was unusually refreshing. Because they had just set sail, everyone's state was relatively casual, and the gunners didn't need to stay under the dim cabin, they all ran up and enjoyed the sun and sea breeze. Andy, is this your first time out to sea? Andy's eyes were very familiar to John and Day. It was the same when they went to sea for the first time, without a trace of fear, full of novelty and yearning. This is not my first time on a boat, but it is my first time out to sea. Andy said with a smile, the last time he was on a boat, he was robbed by pirates and kept in a cage at the bottom of the cabin. How could there be such enjoyment? Do you think the scenery is beautiful? Day asked. Yes, the boundless blue sea, waves, seagulls and white clouds, everything is very beautiful. Andy looked satisfied, that's how he felt. Then just enjoy the present. It won't be long before you feel that it's so boring and unchanging. We've been watching this scene for 20 years, and we're already tired of it. What about rum? Why can't you get tired of it? Andy asked rhetorically. What? Day frowned, looked at John, and murmured to the side, pulling at his braided hair. I've been drinking rum for 20 years, why can't I drink enough? John was speechless for a while, looked at Day who was lost in thought, and gave Andy a thumbs up. Look here, I'm going to wipe my baby. Baby. Andy only knew that the Goddess of Despair was their baby, what else? Hey, I'm an excellent gunner, and the gun is my bride. I'm going to wipe her milk-smooth body now, are you interested? John chuckled, looking like a wretched uncle. No, I'm not interested in it. That's a pity. It seems that you can't understand the pleasure of blasting the enemy to pieces with artillery shells. John said regretfully, with a fiery look flashing in his eyes. John went back to the cabin to wipe his guns. Day sat on the deck thinking about why he couldn't get tired of drinking rum, and soon he laughed. No matter what you do, I just like to drink it. It's really asking for trouble. Day and Andy said hello and ran off the cabin. Andy stood on the bow, watching the pirates on the deck talking, laughing, and cursing each other. A bagpipe sounded, and Andy knew that it was Sailor Endler. The bagpipes played by this melancholy-looking guy were really nice, and even attracted a group of seagulls to fly around the top of the mast. Andy walked over, leaned on a railing, and looked at Ander. The bagpipes stopped. Is there a problem? Andler put away the bagpipes and played with his mustache. I didn't brush my teeth this morning. Andy said lightly, he wanted to find fresh water to brush his teeth in the morning, but was refused. Fresh water is a very rare wealth on board. No one knows when we will dock again, so fresh water should not be wasted at all. Andler said, indeed, the sanitation of the pirates is very poor, and many of them don't take a bath for a few months if they don't dock. As for brushing his teeth, a guy who doesn't wash his face will brush his teeth? So many pirates have black teeth like Zack. I've observed that on this ship, you and that black buck have the whitest teeth, and they're outrageously white. Andy paused and said, he wanted to know why. He didn't want to see Anna again, grinning and revealing black teeth, it was terrifying to think about. Yes, I have observed it carefully. I am an artist. How can I not have good teeth to match my temperament? Andler never considered himself a pirate, he was an artist. Main research, the art of killing and looting. Can you tell me how you did it? Andy asked. Unfortunately, Andy, I can't tell anyone, it's an oath. If you want to know, go to Buck, and I got my method from him too. Andler said. He stood up, looked into the distance with melancholy eyes, took out an orange from nowhere, and slowly peeled it. A piece? It's good for you. Andre raised the orange in Yang's hand. This is a fruit from the east. There are very few cultivated here. I don't know where he got it. Maybe it was stolen from the captain. Andy thought maliciously and shook his head. He has no shortage of fruit, and Zack asked someone to bring him a fruit bowl this morning. He prefers green apples, the sweet and sour taste will make him more comfortable. When Andy found Buck, he was gambling with some pirates. As for the stakes, of course, rum. Pirates are naturally boring when they have no goals. Captain Zack likes to hide in the captain's room to study roots and some mysterious things. First mate Roger stands on the deck and uses iron anchors to exercise strength. Second mate Biba Bulletin is a mysterious guy who has been in the cabin guarding their cattle and sheep food and rum, and sometimes checks the ammunition. Sailor Endler relied on a bagpipe beside a cable, and as for the other pirates, they were either drinking rum to brag and chatting, or gambling. Always have some fun when you are bored. Pirates like to play dice. They put the dice in a wooden cup, and after a few people shake it, they guess the number of each point. All in all, it depends on luck as well as some tricks. Buck's luck is obviously not very good. He who likes to laugh obviously can't laugh at this time. This time, the captain of the voyage allocated 2 barrels of rum to everyone. It has only been a few hours since the voyage, and Buck has already lost 1.5 barrels. How should I spend the rest of my life? Buck knew that if he only had half a barrel of rum, his next life would be a torment, because he was an alcoholic. 2 barrels were not enough, let alone only half a barrel. Come again. Buck said viciously, looking like a gambler who took his life as a bet. In fact, rum was indeed his life. Hey, Buck, don't you really want to keep some for yourself? You only have half a barrel of wine. A pirate laughed. He just won half a bucket from Buck. He plans to reward himself for a while, and drink a pot in one gulp. Think about it and enjoy it. Buck's heart shrank. If he loses again, I am afraid that this trip to the sea will become his nightmare. These guys are all addicted to alcohol. They may offer you a drink generously in the bar, but when they sailed, no one can get a drop of rum from their glass. Neither can the great Captain Zack. Of course, neither does the great Captain Zack, who has several barrels of fine wine in his captain's room. Buck stood up, he was not going to gamble any more. Great Lord Chief, oh no, great Goddess of Despair, I hope we can sack a merchant ship full of rum in the near future. Buck muttered, looking pious. Or I should rush to the front next time I fight, kill a few more people and maybe the generous captain will reward me with a bucket of rum. Buck felt the long sword at his waist, thinking like this. Buck. Hey, big guy, I have something for you. When Andy saw Buck leave the gaming table, he quickly followed. It's you. Buck looked at Andy. What do you want to do, little monkey? Are you also interested in betting twice? Buck said, his eyes lit up. Andy was also a member of the boat, that is to say, he also had 2 barrels of rum. Unfortunately, I don't have any interest, but I am very interested in your teeth. Andy said. Hey? My teeth. Buck suddenly understood what was going on, he smiled proudly, his white teeth even reflected light in the sunlight. Aren't my teeth nice? Yes, so I want to find out what's going on. Of course there's no problem, my dear Andy. Buck smiled, then turned a little serious. This is the secret of my tribe, you want to get it, you need to exchange it, and promise not to disclose it to others, otherwise, you will be punished. As you wish, but I want to know what you want in exchange." Andy asked. "He doesn't seem to have anything of value, can it be exchanged for rum?" "I want your musket." Buck pointed to Andy's waist, the musket with a shiny barrel. "It's a pity that my sister gave it to me, and I can't exchange it for anything." Andy watched Buck greedily glance at him, and added, "And this sword too. And this hat. By the way, and this turban. I'm sorry, but boots don't work either." Buck stared at Andy and saw that he finally finished. "Then what can you exchange?" "This is the secret of my tribe. I have rum, Big Buck, if you will. I hear you only have half a barrel of rum left." Maybe it was Andy's delusion. He found that Buck's already black face became even darker. Buck turned around a few times, not knowing what to say, and finally said, "Okay, it's cheaper, but I want 2 barrels. Rum." "Oh, you are really greedy. Although I am young, I also want to drink rum, so I can only give you a bucket." Andy shook his head and said seriously, "Hey? Only a bucket? Are you kidding me?" Buck laughed. He didn't want to deal with Andy anymore. How could his secret be just a barrel of rum? "Alas, what a pity. Yesterday I heard from the captain that this voyage will last for a few months, and maybe some guy will only be able to hold his empty wine barrel for the next few months, and only have a sip at a time. Rum, oh, what of a life." Buck stopped, took a deep breath, and turned around. "Okay, you won." "You mean guy? You're a pirate." "My pleasure, sir." Andy smiled. This man was really interesting. "Then, tell me your secret." Andy rubbed his hands together. He was a little excited. The secret of whitening teeth spread by the mysterious island tribe. Ha, it's really interesting. There are many tribes on the island who will take the initiative to make their teeth black, because it is more mysterious, and it is rare for tribes to whiten their teeth. It's actually very simple. Our tribe has a special method of mixing some strange things into a medicine, soaking it in sea water, and gargling with those things every morning." "What strange things?" Andy asked. "Hey, little thing, you don't really think that a barrel of rum can be exchanged for all the secrets? The bosun used a rare gem in exchange for me, but I can provide you with it for this voyage. In exchange for your rum, you have to give me a gold coin every time you sail in the future, and I will provide you with the next medicine." Andy thought for a while, then Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com smiled, "Okay, give it to me." Andy is confident that as long as he obtains that thing, he can analyze its contents through special methods. Buck took out a piece of white crystal from the small bag beside him, as if solidified cream, and threw it to Andy. "These are enough for you, but you will need gold coins in the future. After all, the materials also require money, or you can exchange your guns, and I will tell you what the materials are." "Stop dreaming, my gun won't be exchanged for anything." Buck followed Andy across the deck to his little house. "My rum, go get it, I can't wait." Buck swallowed and exclaimed excitedly. Andy entered the hut, and after a while he moved out a small wooden barrel filled with rum. Buck's smile solidified on his face. "You liar! Why is your barrel so small?" "Unfortunately, the captain thinks that I am not suitable for drinking too much wine, because I have more important things, so my wine barrel is only half the size of yours." Buck opened his mouth. He also knew that it was useless to say anything at this time. He was deceived by this kid. "If you don't give me another barrel of rum, I'll throw you into the sea." "Bad thing. I advise you not to do it." Roger's voice came over, and he looked at Buck as if he was watching his prey, "Or I think the captain will hang you from the mast to dry you, and then let the seagulls and crows eat your body, trust me, Buck." Buck seemed to think of that scene, shuddered, picked up the pocket oak barrel, and returned to the cabin angrily.